Welcome to the GetRealWealth.com radio show, where wealth means a lot more than just building a second stream of income. Listen and learn how 70% of the millionaires in America used real estate to create a lifestyle that most people only dream about. A lifestyle that includes good health, family, romance, travel, charity, and all the other parts of a balanced life. Now, here is your host, real estate investor and mentor, Steve Davis.
Good afternoon and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Steve Davis, where we are at the GetRealWealth.com radio show talking about the why in life. Why do you want more out of life? What is it that you do want out of life? And how to use real estate to build passive income streams to help that life come true for you and your family. We bring up the point that statistically, 95% of Americans are failing to retire by age 65. If they do retire at age 65, they're either a burden on the government or a burden on their children. And that's just not the way it should be. Our mission, or why we exist, why Real Wealth Academy exists, is for people who want to change that, and not everybody does, believe it or not. I used to think that, but there's some people that just, I don't know any other way to say it. As brutal as it is, they just don't care. They're not going to do anything more than just go work their 9 to 5 and hope for the best. And we all know how that ends up. But for the people who do want more out of life, we're here for you. And what we do is we teach you how to use real estate to build wealth, to build passive income streams that come in and allow you to retire really at any age. Not that retirement is really a goal. It's financial independence that's the goal. And it's money that comes in whether you live 20 years in retirement, 40 years, it doesn't matter, because it comes in every single month. And it's very legacy based. In other words, when you pass, it goes to your kids or your heirs almost tax-free. It's unbelievable how powerful a tool like real estate is to change your family tree financially. And today I want to talk about, obviously COVID's in the news. Everybody's talking about it. You're probably sick of it. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about how to deal with tenants who are suffering as a result of COVID. And there's two words that I want you to keep in mind as you're dealing with your tenants during this incident, and it's patience and compassion. The third word is verify. I should have said there were three words. Because there's going to be some tenants that try to take advantage of this situation. And they're going to come in and tell you that their company closed and they can't go to work. Verify it. See, when Harvey hit and thousands upon thousands of companies were flooded, I had tenants come in and say they couldn't pay because their company was flooded. I said, no problem. What's your boss's name? What's his phone number? What's your company name? What's the phone number? Then I would compare it by searching on the internet to make sure that I was really calling that company and not one of their buddies. And I would call, or one of the property managers would call, I should say. And there were a few that were lying. You know, you'd call up and go, did you get flooded? No. Are your employees all off right now? No, everybody's working. Well, that person needs to pay their rent right then or begin the eviction process. But people who are legitimately suffering because they're in the food industry, or, you know, they shut down nail salons, they shut down hair cutters, they shut down restaurants, bars, and I could go on and on and on. You've got to have some compassion for those people, and you're going to have to work with them, because you cannot squeeze blood out of a turnip, as they say. And during Harvey, we did multiple things, which was people in the worst case scenarios who couldn't pay and probably never were going to be able to pay, we let them out of their lease and let them move without smashing their credit, without putting an eviction on their report. We just let them move, go find something they could afford. Most people, though, and this is the vast majority, we set up on payment plans. Some people were able to catch up in 1 month. Some people, it took them 5 or 6 months to catch up. Very simply, the longest was 10 months, where I set this person up. It was $1,500 a month rent. The following month they had to pay $1,650, $150 more than normal. Times 10 is $1,500. So I collected the rent that way. But that was really the most extreme case. Most people caught up in just a couple of months. But you have to be compassionate. You have to be patient. But again, verify everything, because there's going to be people out there that are going to try to take advantage of this. They're just bad people. They're something for nothing people. And it's probably best to get rid of them, because if it's not COVID, it'll be something else that they try to screw you over. So let them go. Let them move on down the line. Avoid the eviction and get them the heck out of there. Then for the rest of the people, work with them. Do whatever it takes to collect the rent. Do I charge late fees during these time periods? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, once it's over, which hopefully will be about a month from now or less than a month from now, then we will resume, starting the first of the following month, to charge late fees. But you have to be compassionate. You're not the only one going through troubles. And you need to be able to empathize with their situation, because you're going through it too. You know, now it may be minor compared to their situation, but it's still a pain in the rear end. It's still worrisome. But have empathy. You're going through it. They're going through it. Let's work together and get this done in a reasonable yet productive fashion. I'm not letting people out of rent. I'm just giving them more time to pay. Or I'm asking them to leave and go find something that they can afford. But again, I've bragged about this before. I never had one eviction. Never once did I go to court to throw somebody out due to Harvey or even Ike, which Harvey was horrible. Ike was pretty bad too. This is just something, and here's the funny thing. Well, I don't know if this is funny. Is this going to happen again? Yes. They've set a precedence for overreaction that they're probably going to follow through to make themselves feel right. So while we didn't go through this with swine flu, which killed a bunch more people, we're going through this with COVID. Weird. Anyway, this is the GetRealWealth.com radio show. That's as much as we'll talk about COVID today. When we come back, I'll talk about the difference between a slumlord and a win-win investor, the $7 million difference. Thanks for listening. Did you know that 70% of the millionaires in America used real estate as their main investment vehicle? You can and should have some real estate in your portfolio. This is Steve Davis, host of the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Starting with bad credit and no money at age 27, I began investing in real estate. By 30, I was retired. I will be explaining this at a free 2-hour introductory workshop this month. If you would like to attend, go to GetRealWealth.com. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thank you for listening. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. We're about to talk about a little bit about passive investing and why the members of Real Wealth Academy are willing to put up money into these syndicators' deals, other members of Real Wealth Academy's deals. And it's not just for the money. Let me read you this from Donna, who is a partner of mine, and she's also a partner with multiple syndicators. And what she talks about is that the properties I'm in on put in huge playgrounds and benches and seating for the parents so they can sit and watch their kids. They put in beautiful landscaping, barbecue areas, fixed up the pools to provide family time together. We generally put in a dog park, which is near and dear to her heart, among other things. One complex she's in even arranged for the Houston Food Bank to bring after-school meals to the kids whose parents were still at work. See, when you invest in real estate, you're not just making money. You're helping the community. You're helping, let's say it's a 500-unit apartment complex. You're helping 500 families have a clean, functional place to live that's much nicer, as a rule, than what they could afford on their own. Then you're helping the community by rehabbing a complex that may have been infested with drug dealers, infested with bad tenants. You're helping the city by raising the tax base on the property itself. And you may say, well, I don't like to pay more taxes. Yeah, but it's going to happen. You go in and rehab a property, turn it from $5 million to $10 million, you're going to pay some taxes on that. So you're really improving the quality of lifestyle of the tenant, of the community, and the city by investing in real estate. This is why all our tax laws are written to benefit the real estate investor, because it's really what the United States is. It's real estate. So when I talk about these people joining up to Lifestyles, joining up to Real Wealth Academy and passively investing in other people's deals, they're not just doing it for the money. They're doing it because they're helping and serving other people. And what you've got to understand is that's the only place that money comes from, helping and serving other people. So many people are confused. They think that money comes from the government. The government has no money. They have our money. People think it comes from the big corporations or banks. Well, guess what? The big corporations don't have any money. The banks don't have any money. Whose money do the big corporations and banks have? Our money. See, every single dime of capital in the United States is controlled by an individual. There is no big pile of unclaimed money out there waiting for you to just go grab it. If you want more money in your pocket, it has to come out of someone else's pocket. And to deserve that, you have to be willing to help and serve other people. See, the socialists don't understand that at all. Socialists think the government has money. They're in complete denial of reality. They think the government has money when they don't, and that when you get something from the government, it comes from the government. No, it's taxpayers' money that they have. If you get free college like they're proposing, other taxpayers paid for your college. If you get food stamps, if you get free rental, that's taxpayers paying that. It's not the government. The government has no money. So when you realize that, it takes away the socialist argument that capitalism is about greed. No, capitalism is about helping and serving other people. More like forcing people to help and serve other people, because that's the only way you make money, is to get out there and find ways to help and serve your fellow man. Capitalism, terrible. And these people that talk about the greedy capitalists are generally not talking about capitalists. They're talking about criminals. People who abuse the capitalist system and take advantage of people and harm people. But I'm going to say something else against socialism. When capitalism fails and some criminal takes advantage of it, people lose money. When socialism fails and people take advantage of it, people die to the tune of 100 million for the National Socialist Party of Germany, the Nazis. Yeah, socialism is corrupt from day one. Capitalism, while not perfect, because there is no perfect system, is as perfect as we're going to get. Because even in a perfect scenario, there's some criminal out there who's going to take advantage of it. But the vast majority, 95, 97% of the capitalists out there are good people who are focused on helping and serving others. And that's how they make money. Think about your job. Think about anything you've ever done to make money. Did you ever have somebody just hand you a big pile of... Well, see, it just doesn't happen. There's only one way to get money. Someone has to give it to you. And to deserve that, simply add value or provide a service to them that deserves them giving you their money. But let's talk about what I'm going to call the slumlord and versus the win-win investor. The slumlord could be compared to the socialist. The win-win investor would be the capitalist. And the slumlord is a person who steals. They don't put money back into the property. They take every bit of the cash flow out. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Something for nothing. Gimme. The win-win investor does the opposite. He takes care of the asset. He takes care of the tenants. He serves the tenants well, or she. And you're going to be remarkably impressed by the difference in the profit in the two strategies. So let's start with the slumlord and a $4 million property. And we're going to assume this is a family. Let me read this little thing I wrote. First, someone with no education in real estate investing goes out and buys an apartment cash. They take no money in up front for rehab and try to eke the repairs out of the cash flow. This is where slumlords come from. This is completely ineffective. Second is the win-win investor who takes care of both the property and the tenants. Doing this takes care of the investors, the passive investors, by default and increases the value of the property. This is the effective strategy, as you will see in the numbers we're about to discuss. So the slumlord goes out, takes $4 million and buys a property. Sale price was $4 million. He paid the $4 million. $100,000 in closing costs. So all in, $4.1 million. The NOI on this deal for this example is going to be $400,000 a year. Why so low? The reason is it's 20 or 30% vacant. Its rents are $50 to $100 a month per unit below market, and it needs massive rehab. Well, what the slumlord does, or the mismanaged mom and pop that buy this, what they do is they rehab, say, 20 units yearly for about $200,000. Well, if their NOI is $400,000, that leaves them cash flow of $200,000. So they're making $200,000 a year profit in their minds by not fixing up the property, by not taking care of the tenants, by not doing the right things with the property. After 8 years, their total profit is $1.6 million. So keep that number in your head. $1.6 million, $200,000 a year for 8 years. Well, let's look at the win-win investor. The win-win investor has the same purchase price, $4 million, but they take an extra $1 million into the deal for rehab. This brings their total all in, including the $100,000 closing costs, to $5.1 million. The slumlord only paid 4.1. The win-win investor paid 5.1. Same NOI, $400,000. But here's the difference in the strategy. The strategy of the win-win investor is completely rehab the complex from day one. New asphalt, new roofs, new exterior paint, rehab the 30 or 40 units that are vacant immediately. Fix everything that's wrong with the other 160 units. And again, I'm just using 200 as a number. Cash flow, new NOI after about a year and a half, 2 years, $600,000. $600,000. After 8 years, total profit, $4.4 million compared to 1.6. We'll talk about the sale of the property after the break here on the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. You're listening to AM 700, the voice of Texas. Thanks for listening. 70% of the millionaires in America used real estate as their main investment vehicle. Listen to the GetRealWealth.com radio show to find out how you can do it too. Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. right here on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Questions coming in about our free introductory workshop. There was one scheduled for tomorrow evening. That's, of course, been put off because of the COVID incident. Our next event will be April 16th. That should give us plenty of time to get over this, I hope. If you want to reserve a seat for that or reschedule, go to GetRealWealth.com, GetRealWealth.com, and in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see free workshop. Upper right-hand corner, and you can reserve a seat there for either the Houston or the Dallas events coming up. Okay, let's go back to this scenario. We've already shown that just off of cash flow, the slumlord's going to make about $1.6 million over an 8-year period. The win-win investor makes over $4.4 million. Same time period. See, not only is helping and serving other people the right thing to do, it's doggone more profitable. I don't see how you could get a better system than that. The more you help and serve other people, the more money you make. Not a bad scenario. But let's take it to the next level. Let's say that we put that thing on the market. We now have a new capitalization rate because the deal is no longer high risk. Dividing the new capitalization rate into the NOI gives us a new value. That new value, remember we paid $5 for it, $4 million purchase and $1 million rehab. The new value at the end of 8 years, $10 million. We doubled the value of the property over that time period. Now, I was very conservative on this. It would probably be much more than that, but I just kept it simple. We double the value. We then sell it. We have a gain of $5 million. Plus the $4.4 million that we made in cash flow brings our grand total. We invested $5.1 million and profited $9.4 million. Simply put, if you had put $100,000 into that deal, you'd have almost $400,000 now. I mean, it's insane, the comparison to slumlording or the scumbag way of doing stuff. If you're really out there, you care about other people, you focus on helping and serving other people in everything that you do, you make, good Lord, what is that, 1.6 to 9.4? It's a $7 million difference. It's actually, yeah, almost a $7 million difference in the deals. Which way do you want to run your property? Then you get out there, you get educated, you learn how to do it right, you focus on helping and serving other people, and you make yourself wealthy. That's how capitalism works. The more you help other people, the better off you are. It's amazing. All right, if you've got questions about this, anything that I said, I know I tried to keep it slow, but it's still radio. You might be driving. It's hard to understand. If anything I said was confusing or didn't make sense, or you need more information, give me a call at 281-558-KSEV. That's 281-558-5738, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. So let's take the rest of this segment and the final segment of the show and start answering some questions that I get through email. Some of these are from Bigger Pockets. If you're not familiar with Bigger Pockets, it's a forum for real estate investors. It's a great little place to get a second opinion on stuff. Please be very careful, though. I see so many people on these forums, not just Bigger Pockets, other forums as well, that think that a forum is going to answer all your questions. It's impossible. The first thing you've got to understand is, did you know that you don't know what it is that you don't know? So how could you possibly ask all the questions? The example that shocked me, and I'm not sure who said this, I want to say it was Zig Ziglar, but he talked about you go out and you come up with 100 questions, and you go out and you get all 100 questions answered. Are you ready to move forward? The answer is no, because there were 200 questions you were supposed to ask, but you didn't know what the other 100 were. So you never asked them, and which means you're going to make mistakes. Don't think that a forum, don't think that a radio show replaces getting a mentor, taking a 2-day class, or a week-long class. You know, there's some boot camps out there that are like a week long. I think that's a little difficult to do, and I don't think it's necessary as a rule. But let's start with this "Do you hire an attorney?" question from Mashika, and it's about contracts. And the question is, do you hire an attorney? And my opinion is, absolutely. The first time you do a lease, I believe that it is important to either have a mentor go through the entire lease with you, or to have an attorney go through the entire lease with you. You need to be able to explain every paragraph in that contract to the tenant when they move in. And you'll be amazed at which paragraphs they pick out to ask you questions. It'll be different with every tenant. There's some that are the same, but it's really funny how all of a sudden they'll ask about something and you're like, no one's ever asked that before, but okay, here's the answer. You need to understand that contract inside and out. And this is not expensive. We're talking a half hour, maybe an hour with an attorney, $200, $250. Don't go choose a $500 attorney. You don't need a $500 an hour attorney to read a lease with you. But you definitely need a mentor or an attorney to read the lease with you before you ever sign a lease with somebody. That is a legally binding contract, and if you don't understand every word of it, you can do something dumb and harm yourself. So Mashika, definitely get an attorney the first time. If you have a mentor, you can rely on them as well. Okay, this is a tough question. It is a townhouse neighbor with mental illness that is disturbing the tenants. And this one's very simple, Patrick. Get an attorney. Get an attorney, because this can be a very sensitive situation. If this person is disruptive to the point where the police are being called on them over and over again, as you described, you need an attorney, and you need to go ahead and call the judge that would handle this in that area. In other words, there's a judge that's going to be justice of the peace for the area of town that the subject property is in, and talk to them as well. Your attorney may do that for you, but I recommend you do it as well, so you know what to expect if you have to take that other landlord to court to get them to get that person out of that unit. And it can be very, very tough to do. So I don't have good news for you there. The only thing is, this is probably the first and only time you'll ever experience this. I've been at this for 30 years and I've never had this experience, but I have talked to people who have, and they all relied on an attorney to take care of the deal. They all won, everyone I've talked to, because the person ended up being put in jail, I think, in one incident, and another one was moved, was evicted. One ended up in jail, the other one ended up evicted. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but don't take any risks whatsoever. Get an attorney on this one, because this is very complex and very risky for you to try and handle by yourself. Don't do that. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com, asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Okay, next email, out-of-state investing from Gregory. This is a tough question for me because I don't really like out-of-town investing. Most of the time when I see people thinking about investing in another town or another city or another state, it's because they have the grass is greener mentality. They think for some reason it's going to be better somewhere else. Now, if you're in a state or a city like New York City, that makes total sense. Or if you're in Los Angeles or San Diego, these cities are very difficult to find property in. You've got to go 30, 45 minutes out of the city, some of them an hour out of the city, to actually find cash flowing properties. I'm fine with that. But be cautious of just assuming that the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. Look in your area first, study it. Go upstate New York if you're in New York. Or you are in New York. Since you're in New York, go upstate, and you're going to find the places where the managers of McDonald's live, the managers of Best Buy. Everybody runs around in these big cities going, oh, the lowest price home is $600,000. Really? So the McDonald's manager lives in a $600,000 house? No. They live somewhere, though, don't they? Find where they live. And that's where your investment target should be. Remember, market to the masses. You'll eat with the classes. But if you market to the classes, you'll probably eat with the masses. That's Sam Walton. So, Gregory, it's okay to look, especially since you are in New York, but look an hour or so away before you decide to go out of state. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. This is the GetRealWealth.com radio show. You can find us online, of course, at GetRealWealth.com. While you're there, please register for our free introductory workshop coming up April 16th, the first one after the COVID incident, assuming that everything will be cool by then. All right, thanks for listening. We'll talk more after the break. Did you know that 95% of Americans fail to retire by age 65 and 36% are dead? The good news is that here at the GetRealWealth.com radio show, we know what the other 5% are doing. 70% of them own real estate. We are a mentoring group for new and experienced real estate investors. We will show you how to build a second stream of income that will allow you to retire at any age. I will be explaining this at a free 2-hour introductory workshop this month. If you would like to attend, please go to getrealwealth.com. That's getrealwealth.com. Welcome back to the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. Phone lines are open, 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV. Let's go straight to the phone lines to Magnolia and talk to Robert. Robert, thanks a lot for calling in. How are you today?
Hey, Steve. Good afternoon. I'm doing fine.
Good.
My question is concerning a deposit. When you get a new tenant and they give you a deposit for the amount of rent that they're paying a month, my question is the pet deposit separate from that?
Yes.
Does that include the pet deposit?
No. And remember, people say this incorrectly. It's not a pet deposit, Robert. It's a pet fee.
Okay.
It's non-refundable.
Oh, it's non-refundable.
Correct. You get your security deposit, and I'm recommending if your rent is $1,500, get a security deposit of $1,700.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because that way people don't hit you with, oh, I paid the last month's rent.
Right.
No, you didn't. It was $1,700. That's your security deposit. You got to pay the last month's rent.
Okay.
And I'll give you back your security deposit. The pet deposit that I do is $350 per dog. I don't charge a deposit for cats. And then I generally charge about $25 per dog additional rent.
Okay.
But that you could make it very clear that that is a pet fee, not a pet deposit.
Well, you cleared it up for me, brother. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, Robert. You take care.
See you later.
Bye-bye. Yeah, be cautious of that. People do that all the time. The lease comes up and the people go, well, where's my pet deposit back? Well, your dog chewed the bottom of 6 doors. You ain't getting your pet deposit back. And I don't lease to any dog that my insurance won't cover. If anybody brings, and I love pit bulls, don't get me wrong. I rescued one, fell in love with it. But you can't lease to people with pit bulls. You can't lease to them with giant German shepherds. You can't lease to them with Rottweilers. They need to buy a house with those big dogs. So I don't think that, I don't have a weight limit, but if you were to look across the dogs that I've let in, I've never let a dog over 40 pounds in. They're just natural animals, and they're very hard on a house. So the worst case scenario that I've ever had was I can't think of what they're called, but they were about 30, 35 pounds each. Real long hair, beautiful dogs. I can't think of the name of them. They paid me $700 pet fee, $350 each, and $50 a month extra, $25 per dog. With cats, I just don't bother with it. Fish, I don't bother. Birds or whatever. It's really just dogs that do the damage to the house. So remember that rule, 2 rules that I just shared. Always collect a security deposit, a couple $100 more than the rent, so they don't confuse it with the last month's rent. And it's a pet fee, not a pet deposit. Deposit implies that you're going to give it back to them when they move out, and you're not. It's a fee, because I don't care how sweet the dogs are, it's going to cost you some money to get the smell out of there, as a rule. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or email me at asksteve@getrealwealth.com. asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Okay. All right, here's a COVID question. Should I let tenants know rent is still due or wait? Well, first off, it's not the end of the month yet. And for you to be calling them to remind them that rent is due is probably a little bit insensitive. They sign the lease. They know rent is due on the 1st. I wouldn't do anything until the 4th. That is when I begin the eviction process. But in a situation like this, I'm not going to begin the eviction process. I'm going to begin negotiating how they're going to pay their rent. Because I'm not going to charge late fees in a circumstance like this, and I'm not going to evict people. Even if the city hadn't put a stop to it, I'm not going to do it. So my advice, Jack, is to wait till the 3rd. If they have not paid by the 3rd, then the morning of the 4th, early morning, start reaching out to them until you get a hold of them and start setting up a payment plan, probably beginning the following month, to get that rent caught up. Or if they are in dire straits, go ahead and start working with them to get them to move out and avoid an eviction. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV, or email me. It's asksteve@getrealwealth.com, asksteve@getrealwealth.com. Okay, next question. This is a screening red flag, and this is from Andrea. And there's two things here, Andrea. You're screening tenants to rent a room in a house that you're living in. This is the worst friggin' idea ever. I mean, roommates are difficult. You know how you can be making love to somebody every day and still end up in fights. When you've got roommates, you think it's going to be easier? No, it's going to be harder. Don't do this. You know, if you can't afford something, don't move in there and then start leasing rooms to strangers where you have to share common areas like the living room, sometimes a bathroom, and the kitchen. It's horrible. Now, with my opinion out there, let's assume you're going to do it anyway. This applicant who's not responding to you, do not lease to them. Period. They're already giving you trouble. Do you think it's going to get better once they move in? You're going to change them? Sounds like a marriage, doesn't it? Or a bad relationship. And that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a bad relationship. With this person not responding to you, you need to send them a rejection letter immediately and tell them why you're rejecting them, which should be because of a credit report or something like that. So when you're having someone move in to a room in your house, which again, I can't imagine why you would do that, you run a credit and criminal report. You talk to the present landlord and previous landlord. You talk to the employment. You verify employment. You verify likelihood of continued employment, and then reject them because of the credit report. Because I guarantee you this person's got bad credit. Anybody that treats you like this, doesn't respond to your phone calls, yet keeps... Well, if they're not responding to your phone calls, this is 3 pages. I probably shouldn't have started this one. Yeah, all I can tell you is absolutely not. Do not lease to this person under any circumstances. And I hope that that credit report comes out terrible so that you have a very legitimate reason to reject them. Okay, phone lines are open, 281-558-5738. Let's go to Houston now and talk to Anna. Anna, thanks a lot for calling in. How are you today?
I'm fine. Hi, Steve. I was a member, I guess I'm still somewhere, a member of your previous investment group. And I'm so glad that in 10 years I've acquired a lot of single family houses in Houston area. I quit my corporate job and I got a house in the mountains of California. I Airbnb it, and whenever I need, I'm so grateful that we learned from you guys. Everything is fine.
That's excellent. Yeah, that's a great group.
I had an objection about your views on cats because we don't accept cats or dogs, and actually I think that cats can pee in the property, and that smell is very hard to get rid of.
Oh, it is.
What do you think about that?
Well, I just haven't had that problem, and I think it's because all my single stories are all tiled. There's no carpet in there. My 2 stories, they only have carpet on the second floor, and I generally am replacing that when they move out. So I haven't had a big problem with it, with mine. But am I telling people not to take a deposit? A pet fee on cats? No, I'm just saying I don't. If you've got carpet throughout the house, then you better get a pet fee on that cat, because you're right, Anna. If you've got carpet in your house, you're going to have some smells just like you would with a dog. So that's a good point, Anna.
Well, the pet fee will not take care of replacing the carpet. So you better get like I would get a double deposit, and I have a lot of tenants that are on double deposit with us. Oh,
wow. Yeah. Wow, you're good, Anna. You're good. All right, we got to go. Thank you so much for the phone call, Anna. You take care, and congratulations on your success. All right, this has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. I'm your host, Steve Davis. If you still have a question, go ahead and email me. I will reply to you myself. It's AskSteve@GetRealWealth.com. Thanks for listening.
This has been the GetRealWealth.com radio show. Please remember that this show is for entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as legal, tax, or investing advice. Always get a professional opinion before making any investment decision. To find out about the mentoring and consulting at Real Wealth Academy, visit GetRealWealth.com and attend one of our free introductory workshops on real estate investing. That's GetRealWealth.com. Thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day.